All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to our book club. And tonight we are starting How to Win Friends and Influence People. And you guys, I don't know what happened to my book. It's missing the front cover. I think somebody got a hold of it or something, but it hasn't been read that many times. So I don't know what happened, but I pulled it out and was like, where's the front cover? But this is an old book, you guys. Did you look at the front of the book? It's 1936. And I don't know if anybody like which versions you guys purchased, but mine is supposed to be the red, like the red one, like in the picture that we have in BU. But the most revised edition here is 1981. So I don't know if anybody else there is a newer revised edition, but I don't. So if we have different versions and stuff, our pages are going to probably be different. So just keep that in mind when you guys, yeah, 1936. That's not that vintage. But anyway, so just maybe instead of page numbers, just a reminder, because that happened with the other book too, is Zig Ziglar, the Born to Win. My book was different. I could not get the book that a lot of you guys had. I had to buy a different version because that one was not available for a really long time. So just maybe refer to chapters and stuff, and we can try to find things that way. But this guy kind of cracks me up. I mean, he writes kind of vintage, old, has just old language, but it's so interesting because the stories that he tells are just amazing. And I love that he's a storyteller and he's kind of no nonsense. Like he's kind of in your face with some of the stuff he says, especially I was just going over the chapters again, and that chapter 3, the first thing he says, he likes strawberry and cream, but why would I bring strawberry and cream? But fish don't like strawberry and cream. They like worms and grasshoppers or whatever. And so, it's just funny, his matter of factness that he writes with. I love it. But such valuable just life lessons. And in some ways, I know I can go through this and think, well, duh, to some of these things. But honestly, I love these first 3 chapters because you guys, it's all about the other person. It's all about people. It's not about us. And I just feel so much like I was taking a few notes and wrote some things down. And really, when I got to chapter 2, I was like, you guys, like, that's what God asks of us. I think we have a room full of believers here. And I mean, really, it's love God and love people, right? And that's really what he's saying in a lot of these chapters is we need to think about the other person first and not think about ourselves, like talking about criticism, we can be very quick to criticize other people, and I am just as guilty, but think about like giving praise, the positive reinforcement rather than the negative reinforcement. And, I do think there's a place for negative reinforcement as well. This just kind of I have lots of thoughts about that, but we won't get into that. But who doesn't respond better to positivity? I mean, really, like if you have somebody barking up your tree or nagging you or coming at you all the time, your reaction to that is going to be, you're going to avoid that person. You're going to avoid talking to them, communicating with them, spending any time with them. Like we really need to be just more encouraging to people. And so I feel like what we do here, that's the nature of what we have here is we have this opportunity, this platform to support people in really big areas of their lives, the health and financial piece that we talk about all the time. And so, that's what I just, chapter 1 talked about that criticism piece and all of that, but then it got to chapter 2 and it talks about appreciation and that encouragement. And that's where I thought, oh my goodness, you guys, this is so what we do, but this is what we should be doing through all of life. And, we have products that are amazing. We help people, we encourage them, we cheer them on, we cheer each other on. I think about recognition and how we support each other. Our community that we have here, we listen, we hear people, and that's really what we need to be doing. Okay. So, um, just really focusing on the other person and, like treating others how you want to be treated. Do I appreciate criticism? I mean, there's constructive criticism. There's that, right? But how are we going to do that? And I feel like something that a lot of us are involved in is coaching, right? And we do a lot more coaching now. We never used to do that. We spent a lot of time talking with people on the phone and or with our team members and stuff, but we regularly connect with each other and we ask questions. We ask questions because we want to focus on the other person. We want to hear what they think and we want to dig in and we want to find out where they're at. And he touches on that too, like focusing on the other person, what's in it for them. There's another little phrase that we have from another book. He doesn't say that in here, but that's what I pulled out of chapter 3. He talks about, like, what do they want? What's in it for them? How are we going to support people? When we share what we have here, are we actually just trying to get something out of it for us? Are we actually reaching out to people because we know and believe that we have something for them? And are we spending the time presenting that to people, and asking questions and finding out what they need and thinking about them first? So I just really love these first 3 chapters because I feel like it really takes the focus off of us and gets us to think about how are we going to personally support people by encouraging them rather than criticizing them, how we are going to, give appreciation to people. I just love that chapter so much, supporting people with, how we encourage them. And I actually have a really good story about that because that just happened to me this week, just very out of the blue. And so just really small and, but just everybody wants a compliment. Everybody loves to be encouraged. And that's just something that, do we do that enough? I think about, there's this phrase, what's the phrase about sprinkles? Like, or sparkles or something, like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I don't know, somebody type it in the chat here, but like positivity, like throw that stuff everywhere, right? Like that's really what it is. Somebody please say, I cannot get the words out right now, but it's just, that's what we need to do. We need to support people, throw kindness. There we go. Like confetti. Yes. So I just think about that. Are we like really, are you trying to encourage people every day? Are you walking around like through the store? Are you smiling at people? Are you encouraging the cashier? Are you talking to your family members? That's another good one, Caitlin. Are we talking to our family members with encouragement? Are we asking them how their day was? Are we telling them that we love them? Are we giving hugs? Here's an example. My girls, I am really proud of my girls for how they work every weekend of their lives. And I will drop them off sometimes at work or whatever, because we don't have a car for them just yet that they can really drive. And so I bring them to work, and at the same stoplight every time, I just kind of swell with pride. And I tell them, and they are so sick of it. Like they're always like, Mom, but I tell them every time, like, I'm sorry, but I really am so proud of you. Cause they really were scared to get that first job. They were terrified. They were nervous. They were so scared. And now I don't think they'll work at Culver's forever, but they're really pretty good at what they do. And I think they've gotten some nice raises because they're kind and they don't swear and they and they do their work. I mean, that goes a long ways, you guys, if you don't swear. And that, if they're respectful to the managers and to the other employees and their coworkers, they get the job done, they look for things to do. So I'm proud of them. And I tell them that almost every time that I ever, pick them up or drop them off, and they really get sick of it, but I don't care. I'm going to tell them as many times as I can. And I feel that way too about my team, like we got to encourage each other, and everybody wants to be encouraged. And man, a compliment and encouragement goes a really, really long way. So, Yeah, I could talk about that stuff forever, but I really would love to hear about what some of you guys highlighted. I thought these were such great chapters to start this book out with. And yeah, so those are my initial thoughts. Unmute yourself and share yours.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that a little bit. You used the word encouragement a lot, but in chapter 2 on the first page, he talks about the desire to be important, and he expands on that the next few pages. He talks about other things that people want, health, food, sleep, money, life hereafter, the well-being of our children. But then he says the desire to be great is the deepest principle in human nature. It's the craving to be appreciated. It says he didn't speak, mind you, of the wish or the desire or the longing. He said the craving to be appreciated. And when you think about that, we all have that. And so when we are encouraging people and smiling at people and, saying positive things, we're filling those cravings that everybody has.
Mhm.
And just to be aware of it is something I think that's quite profound, because I feel like that will hopefully make us more in tune of, if we know people's cravings to be appreciated, we can spread that out a little bit more freely.
That's, yep, so good. I love that, the craving. I love that you said that we're filling that craving by doing that, by helping people, by saying kind words, by encouraging them, by lifting them up. So important. And the awareness of it. I think that's it.
I don't know if it was something that I read recently or heard recently. I'm trying to think who it was. It bothers me that I can't think what I got that off of. But anyway, I'm getting old. But it was basically the concept of everybody, that we can learn something from every single person that we come into contact with. Meaning every single person we come into contact with has value, right? Is of value. And God doesn't make people that aren't valuable. And I mean, we're all created in his image. And so we need to treat everybody as such. And the quote in here, a great man shows his greatness by the way he treats, quote unquote, little men. Well, our human nature, I think, tends to view people in the world in a bit of a hierarchy, whether it's subconscious or conscious. We look at people and think, this person's up here, this person's more down here. And we don't say that stuff out loud, but in our minds, we're kind of putting people in that, well, what if we were to level the playing field, so to speak, and treat that person that our minds are viewing down here is the same way that we treat that person that our minds are viewing up here, because everybody is valuable. Yeah, that's what it was, Sal. Minute with Maxwell. Thank you. But everybody is valuable, and we should be pouring into each person that we come into contact with and treating them with the same respect and love and kindness that we would, someone that we would consider to be royalty, so to speak, right? So that was a good reminder and convicting to me anyway.
So good.
I love that, Shell. And I think it also goes along with coming into contact with potentials that we might think are above what we do or are too successful for what we do or whatever. And, we can't put a box around them either. We can't write them off or prejudge or whatever. So, that goes along with that too. So I love these 3 chapters, and I love reading this book again. It has been a long time, like Chris said, and I remember some of it, but not a lot of it. But he had me in stitches when he was answering that guy's letter. Some of the stuff he was saying, I was dying of laughter because he was kind of mean. But my favorite was chapter 3, you guys, because it goes so perfectly with what we're doing here. It's basically talking about, I mean, I highlighted so much in it, but tomorrow you may want to persuade somebody to do something. Before you speak, pause and ask yourself, how can I make this person want to do it? The question will stop us from rushing into a situation heedlessly with futile chatter about our desires. So many times we hop into our messages to message a potential and we're kind of quick about it or whatever. And we don't stop to think about why they need this. And there is just so many little nuggets in this chapter about get the other person's point of view and see things from his or her angle first and how we can help them. Where was that? The world is full of people who are grabbing and self-seeking. So the rare individual who unselfishly tries to serve others has an enormous advantage. You guys, we have a huge advantage because we are in this service business. We're here to serve people and help people, and we have something that they need. And so looking and trying to just look at your potentials from that viewpoint and going into their messages, knowing that you have something that can solve their problems and help them, like the salespeople thing he said, if salespeople can show us how their services or merchandise will help us solve our problems, we don't need to sell it. It'll sell itself. We'll buy it, right? People will buy it no matter what. So customers like to feel like they're, not being sold to. So just remember that when you're talking to your potentials, think about it from their end, what you would want to hear if somebody was coming to you trying to sell you something, and coming from an authentic, genuine place, and really thinking about how it can help them and change their lives. So loved that piece.
Same. I highlighted that whole chunk too. And I liked, he said, kind of under those paragraphs, he said, it's not to be construed as manipulating that person so that he will do something that is only for your benefit and his detriment. And I think that that can be a huge mind block for a lot of people when there's people are starting out with, well, I don't want to sell to my friends. I don't want to. Well, no, you're forgetting it. Then that's about you again. It's about you. You're making it about yourself. What do we have? Then your belief isn't strong enough in what we have here for people. Your belief isn't strong enough about the products, about the opportunity, and about how this can help them. You're not looking at what we have and how this is going to help them, or even looking at that person. And maybe even if you don't know what they have, don't prejudge. I mean, I didn't look like I needed supplements. Like I didn't act like it either because I covered it up really, really well, and I think a lot of us could say that here, and maybe some of us couldn't because we were struggling and people knew it, but like, you can't prejudge, and you can't think that you're manipulating people by trying to help them. You're helping them. That's not manipulation. Okay. So there's something in this for them. All right. And so it is really, truly all about them.
I also am new to the group. Hi guys, but I was gonna say that the lines that Henry Ford said too, I thought hit me really well, is that there's one secret of success. It lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view and see things from the person's angle as well as from your own. So I kind of liked how, I'm excited to be selling this because I want to help people, but I like the point that he points out that you also need to see it from their angle. So I'm trying to learn.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing, Shanna. I'm super proud of you. Love it. Thank you. Any other thoughts?
I like
Oh.
the part in chapter 1, where it says, criticism are like homing pigeons and they're always going to return home. So
Mhm.
if we're talking badly about other people or gossiping, whatever, that's going to come back on us, and I think it just comes down to our character and how we relate to people and how we want it to be treated ourselves.
Yeah, so good. I like that too. I read that phrase like 2 or 3 times after I highlighted it. It's like, ooh, that's a biggie.
Okay, this book is really good, and I know that we're only on chapter 3. I wrote down a lot of words and phrases, but I think I'll just start with saying, and I don't know the exact address in the Bible that it says this, but if you do, hop in. But what we make happen for others, God will make happen for us. And I feel like that really goes along with the desire, like what Janelle was talking about, like the desire to be great and then also to serve others.
Mhm.
It's kind of opposite, but if we are obedient and serve others, then our desire to be great will be fulfilled. So I mean, this is all really, really deep. I think it's quite deep, but serving others, being relatable, asking questions, getting to know others, building that relationship. I really like how it's a negotiation, like each party should gain from the negotiation, or in our case, the sale. I guess I'll end with saying this, it's really put the financial part, like the cost of our products, it put that into perspective for me. Because I guess it just, I struggle sometimes with thinking, maybe they can't afford it, maybe it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. But this kind of speaks to that fear, because it's putting a lot of value that we can help their problems. And yeah, they want to pay for it. They want to pay to have their problems fixed. So anyway.
Love it, Bree. So good. That's I felt the same way. I mean, anybody that feels that way, I thought the same thing too, is it adds value to what we have here because you're making it about them. You're showing them that they really do need this. I mean, that's why I started, right? Because Sal was posting things that I could recognize in myself. I'm like, I need this. And so did Kevin, like we need this. So we were willing. That's so good.
I could relate to that also. I really liked the part when he was talking about when Lincoln was president and he commanded his general to go attack and they would have won the war then, but he didn't. He held back, and how Lincoln wrote the letter of how he was feeling and he put it out there, but I like circled it in big when it said, he said to himself, just a minute. And he hesitated by not sending how he truly felt. And it said, because he had learned by bitter experience that sharp criticisms and rebukes almost invariably end in futility. A lot of times, just like a lot of you have said, we assume a lot about people, not just in this business, but in life also. And instead, through these years that I've done this, it really makes me think, instead of prejudging people and assuming that they have this, that, or the other reason to do this, that putting myself in their shoes because I loved like Lincoln's patience about it. He just said, you know what, I'm going to take a second and think about maybe he had a reason to not attack because he had been through the ringer already and had been by his fellow soldiers, like being injured and dying. And maybe he just couldn't take one more minute of it. And how many of us have been through these things in life, hurts and pain and all that, and then we assume about other people that like they should react the same way we have in general. But on the next page along with that, he also says, do you know someone who would like to change and improve? And he says, good, that's fine, but begin on yourself. And so that was a really good reflection for me to think, like, instead of judging others and going through a lot of this, it's really like I need to self-reflect on a lot of things. All of this was so good.
I love that you brought up the self-reflection. That really is what it is. We have to look at ourselves first and think, okay, what do I need to do? Do I need to change something before I drum up something with someone else? And I loved in the middle of, oh, I don't know what page this is. I'm not gonna say the page, but any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. But it takes character and self-control to be understanding and forgiving. A great man shows his greatness by the way he treats little men.
I thought it was interesting how he started the book in chapter 1 about the stories of the criminals that didn't take accountability for what they had done wrong, and how he started at that point and kind of transitioned to encouraging and adding value and making people feel important. And I kind of wondered when I mean, I've read this book before, but when I read that first chapter, I thought, why is he starting here? But when he created that contrast, it really makes you enlightened to why it's so important, you know. And it obviously did a little self-reflecting on myself too, about, do I take accountability when I've been wrong, or do I blame others or try to shift, you know, responsibility to somebody else? Or, you know, it was just a really good way of, what can I learn from this? And then now this is what I need to do.
That's really profound. It is very interesting that I started with that too. I couldn't really remember. Like, there's a lot of this I could not remember. I didn't highlight that much the first time I read this, you guys. I think I was just at the beginning of my book club journeys and I didn't realize I could mark my books up as much. I don't know, but I felt the same way. Like, that self-reflection is huge. And almost like, do I want to make excuses? Like, these criminals are making excuses for their behavior. Like, oh. Any other thoughts?
I am a Be Brave again.
Yeah.
So on in chapter 3, there's the quote, people who can put themselves in the place of others, who can understand the working of their mind, needs never to worry about what the future has in store for them. This one kind of hit me more from my work standpoint, because we've had a lot of different mentalities and some are very strong. So I thought that was kind of fun to read that from that aspect of my life right now. But I also feel like this is a good one for me too, because, you know, I don't know where the future is going to take me on this journey, and I hope it, you know, becomes very successful. But it's helping me remember that don't worry about the future in a way too, because it's gonna be what it is, and God's going to lead us how we need to fulfill this journey in his way. So that's kind of was a nice little quote I took out of that chapter, part 2.
So good. Absolutely. Beautiful thoughts, Shanna. Thank you. Anyone else? It's 9:04, so we should probably wrap up here, but if you have any thoughts, please. Like if you're getting hot and sweaty, then that means that you have something to say. It's true. I still have that. If you're like getting fluttery and stuff, that means that you have something to say. I had that at Bible study this week. And then I spoke up and it was a good thing. So, but if you're all just cool as a cucumber, that's okay too. Then we can wrap it up. So appreciate you guys for getting on. This is like, I'll be honest, I was reading through this going, okay, it's just it's old, right? So there's a lot of just different ways that he writes, but the storytelling is so cool. It's like, sometimes it was like every paragraph was a new story. And I just love how he has so much. It had a lot of history lessons in it too, stuff that I don't know. I should have Kevin read it because he's really good with history. He might know some of these stories, but just wise, so wise. And yeah, I'm really excited for it. So, all right, you guys, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate y'all so much. And yeah, have a good night. We'll see you next time.